No. And anybody that doesn't know, this is...
Wait, do you have a piece of something that I can, like, polish it?
No, polish?
Yeah,
It's like
polish. Subject. I need something to work with here.
This is Todd Lee, who has the best windy imitation, except if you're windy, of course. And he's going to demonstrate how to use Gorhams on tape. For you guys who don't know how to use Gorhams. Now, we had this on tape, but I looked all through the tapes and couldn't find it.
Hey, my name's Todd. I'm here. I'm going to be doing a little stuff with some Gorhams. I'm in Windy's basement as we speak. Let me show you this. Gorhams is the best thing. Silver polish. We'll open this up here. Put the lid away. This is a virgin bottle right here. None has been used yet.
Now it's not a virgin.
It is not virgin anymore. So we take a little Gorhams and we want it to look like this. Well, not exactly like this. An unscratched piece of glass. We're gonna take a little on our fingertips with a little rubbing cloth, eh? And then we start rubbing. And we rub till there's a nice fine film all over the whole thing. And then we stand back and we say, hey, that's nice. So we take a fresh piece of the cloth and we start polishing again till it's shiny. You gotta have it shiny.
Like, of course, you gotta rub it with 1200. Not 1200, 1200.
Wet sand it. You gotta use a 1200 paper, and you're gonna get a glass smooth the whole thing.
M600.
M600 is good. I like M600.
Not M600, M600.
M600. We just had coffee out on the patio, and now we're down here in Windy's basement.
Now, John Brodak, not Brodak, Brodak. He wants to know how to buffer that first cardinal kid.
I'm telling you.
And a Pete out of the Brodaks. Pete, you listen, you're going to learn how to buffer this plane.
Hey, Pete, I'm talking to you right now.
That Pete, he's a good guy, but he don't know how to buffer his plane.
We're going to be a buffing and a polish.
And polish.
Great, I'm telling you.
And you got to use a virgin cup of bog Gorham.
Well, this isn't virgin anymore.
Oh, not a virgin.
Foil.
Sell it.
It's been ruined. We'll leave that alone.
Give it to a customer.
That's right. So we're going to have a good time here. We're going to make it look like a piece of glass. Nice,
Todd,
dope,
Todd, tell me the secret to taking cardinal kits. Look at these beautiful cardinal kits now. How do we make them go in the box? Well, it's terrible. There's all these ribs.
I'm telling you this. See right
there. That's a very light cardinal kit there.
These are laser cut, and then we put them in the box, and then we'll pack it up and put a lot of pieces in there.
And put a lot of junk in there. Yeah, the customer doesn't know he's got a box of junk.
And then he opens the thing and says, what the...
what's all these cardinal kits? Oh, jeez, we're going to go to Brodak's.
I need some instructions.
No videos on how to build it.
We don't need no stinking destruction.
No! We figured this out on our own. I think I'm kidding, but these are my orthotics. I go to this doctor, this Polish doctor. His name is Dr. Poland. And really? He makes me orthotics for my shoes. I go to put them in, and he made the left one, the right, so that I'm walking this way, and with these orthotics, I'm walking like even worse than I am. So I got to go back to Dr. Poland. He probably didn't use Gorhams on these either. I can't believe it. The luck of the Irish. And then I got to come home and put all these kits together. Oh my God, is this going to be a hard... We're not going to have any... Uh-oh, he's stealing a handle. A Gorham's polish on the handle. Todd Lee, a Gorham's handle. Oh, man, I'm telling you. Now, that's nice. They're really nice. Yeah. Now, for the next stop on the amazing Todd Lee blimp flyover visit. We don't know if we're going to get to see the blimp today. I don't think so. We're at George's, and we want to see the work he's just... Well, progress report on Big Tsunami. Baby George wants to go down the stairs. Hey, you're not allowed to go downstairs, baby. Say hello to John Brodak. Hi, John. Send me an old kid.
I gotta put her down. She stinks.
Ooh.
You want to hold her?
No, I'll go see George. Listen, if you've never seen George's, this is George's house. You walk down a flight of stairs. You walk down another flight of stairs. You look down and you fall, you're going into the house cavern. And look what's up there. Da-da-da-da. But now you have to walk down more stairs. More stairs. Check this out. An anvil. How many people have an anvil in their living room? Now you have to walk upstairs. Dun 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 dun. Ah, Wayne Trivett's playing on a calendar here. And there it is. You got a lot of work done on this since the last time I saw this, George. He's showing Todd the, let me put this. He redid the cowling on this. I don't know if you can see how the cowling is right now. Boy, did we spend a lot of time on this. It's hard to believe we spent all this time. Got some more auto primers pretty much ready to paint, I guess. The electric Cardinal. Electric motor Cardinal. You got flaps on it. George, which model is this you're working on here?
That's the LAD solution.
The LAD solution one?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's talking springs.
See some of the stuff up in the rafters here. Some GBs, some wings. GBs here. I don't know what else is here. Kind of a cool shop, a real worker man shop. Anyway, a lot of work.
On the way out, I took some photographs, and that was one of the...
There's a model up here I didn't even see. One of the ones we painted.
That's up in Massachusetts.
And of course, the key to George's stuff is the artwork and the opera tape. Look at this collection of opera tapes.
This one I'm making up. This is...
Oh, there's a cute guy up there. Old Tsunami. Some of the pictures that he's done. Who's this going to be, that train? George's art thing? You going to make a picture of the train?
This is just another magazine.
George showing off his artwork. Don't you hate a show off?
The pictures are black and white, that's the trouble.
Got the big plane up on the wall here.
And I got...
Got any more aviation? Oh, there's the blimp! Oh, God, don't show Todd this. There goes the Hindenburg. What? There's a hell of a picture. The guy comes over, he's a blimp pilot. They show him the Hindenburg. There you go, Todd.
I used to fly blimps.
Oh, my God. That's a hell of a thing to show the guy.
Going down.
Going down. Here he is, and Debbie Borelli's going down for the...
I was just learning that.
Holy crow. I didn't realize...
The funny part, no funny part, they had the...
Not funny to the guys on the Hindenburg.
They had the Hindenburg on television, all right?
Yeah?
It went on like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Oh,
It's in color. So I said, boy, I got to see how they depict the crashing, because I don't know what hydrogen looks like when it burns. And I hate to paint hydrogen burning red when it burns blue. I don't know. So I sat up all night. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. I just about keep awake. Comes a part where it crashes, it switches over to black and white.
Oh, no.
Oh, man.
I shut that down.
You got any more aviation stuff? Well, hell with cows. Get some airplanes out here.
There you go.
Look, you got the tri-motor back there?
Bovine stuff.
Yeah.
I did this for the Coast Guard. They rejected it.
Bovines. Well, what do they know?
When they accepted, but they
Fire
got a
engines.
couple guys up there on a roof getting rescued. That's out in California someplace, an actual happening, you know?
Huh. They didn't like that so good, huh?
No, it didn't pass the critics.
Well, you got a lot of cool stuff here,
This is
George.
the next town's over fire engine.
Oh, yeah.
This is George's claim to fame. He's in a lot of magazines, a lot of artwork things. Even Ski Dombrowski. Look at the panel. Look at the details on the panel.
Oh, wow.
The gauges are all correct. Try painting that lettering. You know how like it's difficult to do it. He's got another. As if one wasn't enough, he's got 40 of them here. That's hard work. Painting a panel is hard. I know. One day I decided I'll show George, and I started painting a panel. You know what? Didn't look anything like it. Even this is hard. You know the diamond plate. Look at the diamond plate. The little decals.
This is done. I was just trying to experiment.
The tri-motor.
Night flying. This is a Stinson tri-motor. I don't know whether I like it or not.
Well, Todd's going to fly the tri-motor next week.
I just trying to experiment with a foggy night. I did
That's
one
nice.
of a C5 land, and the one from Massachusetts bought it.
What do you got, about a 2-year waiting list for...
No, right now I got about 4 or 5 paintings to go.
4 or 5 to go? That's not bad.
The town got 2 more paintings upstairs. I tell you.
Obviously, this is...
Want to start with something? Oh, no, I'm okay.
No, we're all coffeeed out. We got Lucy over. Oh, look, here's the thing he's painting. Cool. That looks nice with the mountain in the back. Oh, obviously that's what he's doing. Glad I know what I'm talking about.
The Dickinson stuff. Her father used to do all the paintings in the Dickinson.
Oh, really?
And her father had the plaque in the Salmon Gun Club in New York, and that's,
ugly guy.
In the Museum of Natural History, all the dioramas they have, the background, her father painted both of them. 2nd-century postcards and stuff. Looks like a movie up there.
Yeah. Embarrasses me. Nice shop, George, I'll tell you. You're okay. I don't care what Kenny says about you.
But I spend my nights. I've been just starting to come down here because I... Ideas of the cards there. Still like... With a model, you know?
Yeah, well, the problem...
To get the size that probably would work, you couldn't transport it, you know?
Yeah.
I got the one thing where I think it's the... You hope he's your buddy, right?
You hope he isn't having an affair with your wife while he's doing this. Holy crap.
That always intrigued me, Jeff, into that.
Todd, we've had a lot of fun in this shop, believe me. You don't see it in the walls. This shop, if this shop could talk, John Batavia would be dead. We talk about him all the time.
Oh, so I don't think I got a key. I called the shop to talk to Georgie, and the recording came on saying they're closed today.
Oh, I gotta get my key there, okay.
I got a key to the back. Is that going to be good? Well, take your key anyway. I never even see if mine worked.
You got the key to the back door?
I think so, but I'm not sure.
Well, I'll get mine.
We're going to go down to the shop.
We're going to Connecticut.
So you can see this is the back of the Aerosmith. They're doing some work here. It opened up the cracks on a building. This is the back of a 10,000 square foot building. And this is the part that Ken occupies with his foam wing cutting business.
HMDC comes along and stops us.
Did this over the whole winter. In fact, there's a fish that was born in my pond, and that he's got his anodizing stuff up here.
Oh, wow.
They're doing anodizing muffler parts and spinners and all kind of cool stuff. Got his 2,000 sets of plans. Well, he's really making this into a nice shop. All the stuff we got. Some of the guys out in Long Island donated some old kitchen cabinets. This is the old furniture from my daughter's room. I mean, he got a really nice operation on it. Here's his foam core. They made their own foam coring machine.
Yeah, I made that for Ken.
Yeah, a lot of this stuff is. Look at all the bench grinders and sanders and drills and his foam cutting table. This really worked out well. I guess Ken's back on the sauce again. Oh, you know, it'd be funny, George. You got any gunpowder we could put in Ken's pocket? Poor Ken. Boom. Here's our milling machine. We just got our milling machine. We don't even have it wired. Oh yeah, he did wire it up. He's got it wired. Son of a gun. There were little trains up there. This is from the original machine shop that we're little by little bringing over here. We brought this in the back of George's truck, and if you don't think having this is going to be an asset to the business, and all this we did, I'm real happy about this. All this we did on a shoestring. Had our own watch VCR TV up there.
So I won't bring it over until it looks fun.
Not too bad. Look at the foam behind you. He's got all his foam being dried out here and everything.
Yeah,
a lot of stuff.
Machine here.
That's a nice milling machine, boy. I see you got it wired in there. Is it running?
No, you got to get a circuit breaker for it.
Okay, the kid is going to come with all the sharpened tools. Andy's going to sharpen up some tool bits for me. We'll have that running in a week or two. Oh, he's building models here already and everything. Look at this.
Well, you're going to
Band saws.
put the lathe over there.
Yeah. A lot of nice stuff here. Cardinal wings, cardinal kits, belt sanders.
Never else like you throwing this out, so we use this.
Polishers.
That raises up. Boy, it's good for Ken.
Going to be making a lot of stuff here in the winter. I'm looking forward to the building season already. This is the stuff he was doing the experiment with the Brodak's new dope on, the primer and stuff. I see he's got some. Ooh, that feels nice. This is some of the Brodak dope. Well, he's got it up here somewhere. I don't know which is which. He's making a two Orientals.
What's the white stuff in there?
The primer, that's the primer he had. He carbon matted it. Now what he did with this, he did some carbon mat to see if the primer would stick well to the carbon mat. We'll see, oh, that doesn't feel bad at all. And then we're going to do the spray from that point on. He's got the cheek cowls all cut out here. Little elevators and stuff. Oh, prowlers, what am I talking about, Orientals? And he's making a production run of kits for the people at the... I know he's got orders for prowler kits. But this all worked out pretty well, George. I tell you, this is a lot nicer than working in my cellar when you try to get all the big stuff.
No,
It's no room. You got guys bumping asses and elbows. And all the boxes with the kits in them over there. Hey,
all the film stuff was Scott Smith's?
He bought Scott Smith's business, yeah. So he basically took over the business. And he's got the cool, there's one of the fish that was born in my pond here, starving. Poor Kenny starves the fish.
Yeah,
anyway, some cool motors.
We raised these beams. These beams came in on top over there, that leg there. The ceiling, which gave us a good sized room here.
Almost could park the blimp in here.
Not quite.
Not quite.
Not quite.
But it's nice, you know, this winter when we go into building mode, coming down here to work will be a pleasure. I mean, you got some room. By my cellar, you got 3 guys working on Monday night. Holy crow, you got, and if one of them, bumps into you, you can't even walk around a table. This is going to really be nice.
I was reading a story about the one Goodyear.
The one that picked the sailors up?
No, they went out for a submarine
That was
surveillance.
Los Angeles, actually. Navy ship.
That the sailors were on at the tow, and then a couple of them got killed, or one of them got killed?
Two of them dropped off.
No, this went out.
They have that on old black and white
movies. The gondola
movies.
is still being used, or was being used up until a couple of years ago. But the ship went out. There was some controversy as to the guys that were going on it. There was an argument, Anyway, they took off, and later on, it comes sailing.
When they go over the East River.
South California.
The Mafia blimp.
Take
Take it for a ride, one-way
There
ride.
was no one in it, and it grounded in some town, and the police came and the fire department, and all these brilliant guys, stay away, it's going to explode, you know? And the cops shot holes through it, and totally destroyed the whole thing, you know? But the stupidity, they were evacuating the town, they were taking the Hindenburg. You know?
Another cops back there. They arrest him. We're at the Mafia Pizza here. We're going to introduce Todd to a real Mafia Pizza joint here.
Yeah, oh, okay.
This Todd, do your guinea imitations here and see what happens.
So this is the next issue of Cops.
This is the next issue of Mafia Pizza here.
Where the hell are we? East Rutherford.
East Rutherford. The cops are here.
And we have to
doing a strip search on Todd Lee. Yeah, I didn't have a gun. I don't pack a gun, lady. I don't deserve this.
True story in Italy. There's 2 guys are driving in Italy.
Well, Todd, we really enjoyed your visit, but the ride back to the city was a nightmare. Oy, we're going to have to take you some other way. Anyway, check out what I got. People that are staying with us brought me some giant bullfrogs. Hello, big bullfrogs. Where are you? Hey, you want to go in the pond? Oh, my God. Look at these guys. I wonder if they're going to be good in the pond. Anyway, they brought me... How many are in there? 2? Oh, there's a baby. Oh, my God, there's a baby in there. Look at the baby off on the side. Oh, my God. Look at the baby. Ah! I love it. Anyway, we're going to set them loose in the pond and see what happens. Oh my God, these are, see now my frogs are different. The frogs that I have in here, they never come out during the day. This guy looks happy. I can't see the baby. Hey, Mr. Frog, hey, you like that pond? Hey. Are you happy in that pond? Pretty cool. A swimming frog. Oh my God, what a place. This is wild. The fish are loving them. Todd, you missed all the action. Where'd the other one go? Well, we see one of them. I don't know where the other one is. He's swimming under the rock. I guess they like that. It's a little bit of shelter under there. There he goes. He's swimming. Come on, swim, frog. Oh, my God. Froggy. Froggy. When you were a kid, didn't you remember Froggy the Gremlin? Hiya, kids. Hiya, hiya. My name is Froggy the Gremlin. I can't find the other frog. I bet they're in the garden somewhere. He's figuring out how to get out of here and go shopping at the mall. That old son of a gun. Now, you notice how Todd left early before it was time to put kits together. Oh, Todd, I love you, but hey, he said he's coming back next week, so for Flying Day. Get busy putting these kits together. Oh, jeez. Now, in today's mail, I got a couple of real nostalgic, well, some really nice pictures from Joe and Peggy Ortiz. They say they're doing well down in Arizona there, and congratulations on another concourse award, of course. And hey, this is really, I remember when Joe had this Magnum, this was a real good flying. Look at Ken Thompson, that's when he was young. Look at this. Sent another picture here of we were out at the team trials. This was the team trials that year. As you can identify the planes. People sitting under umbrellas. This is the last year that they had it in Indianapolis. Hey, Joe, thanks a lot, and hey, have fun down there. Enjoy it. Nice set of pictures from Lowell Reinhardt. He just got done watching a Nats video, said he loved them. Hey, I loved them too. It was a good Nats. Hand-painted. His little nose art kind of deal on a wing, hand-painted. In fact, he's got two of them here if you look at him. Looks like a Magnum with a Magnum-type plane anyway. Maybe it's not. Lowell Reinhardt. Hey, Lowell, thanks a lot. And hey, and really enjoy those videos. The Brodak tapes are great too. Now, these are some pictures from Fred Cronwet. And he many times has contributed some nice pictures into our little albums here. And hey, can't say I don't like that one. We know whose planes they are. Hey. These are from the Bob Palmer Classic. Now, this is something a lot of people out there may want to check out. These are the every year I get one of these. The ghost calendars, and I'll try to get the address on here. Sure, if I can find the address. Order toll free, 1-800-331-8231. Ask for their catalog. They have an awful lot of cool, they got Spitfires even. A lot of cool stuff. The Ghost Squadron calendars, and we have one in our shop. I know Ken has one in his shop. Neat stuff. Hey, needless to say, Dave Midgley's Aries on one of his visits down here. Well, thanks to everybody that contributes these photos. I really enjoy having them in my collection, and we'll pass them all on to Stunt News. I have finally, and it is not easy to do this, believe me, finally reorganized all my awards here. Made up a nice little wall with some of these awards that really mean a lot to me, and a special thanks to Arlie Presla for all of these. These are really special to me. Arlie, thank you very much. Now you can say what you want about all these awards and which ones are worth something and which ones aren't, and it's really in the eye of the beholder as far as I'm concerned, but these are the ones that really mean something to me, and there's one reason. These are awards that are voted on by all the pilots. Nobody can appoint anybody as a self-appointed expert. Nobody can challenge the the head count. This is the voice of the pilots, and that's something very special to me. Here's some nice pictures from Curtis Chapman. And check this out. Check this out. Look at how he signs the letter. Dog and wife say hello. Hey, anyway, you may remember this dog. Of course, you remember Big Art, Hall of Famer. You remember this dog, Lenslicker. Here's his wife with my wife, with Lenslicker there. He did get to spend some time at the Nats. Of course, that's always a prompting. I sent some pictures of his flying field. This looks like a really nice flying field here. Check it out. J.D. Clark with an enlarged Tucker Special. This is his forerunner, and they said they're practicing up, getting ready for Big Art's contest. This is their flying field in Jackson, Michigan. Hey, not bad. Wish we had it. Anyway, Curtis, another thing I got to tell you. Hey, the fish filter is great. He sent me an extra fish filter for my aquarium. Hey, catch you at the next contest, I hope. Send me some pictures of the next one when you have the Big Art contest. Curtis Chapman. Now, we're always talking about Spitfires with hard camo and soft camo. Look at the camo this is. So, see this froggy? As soon as you get about 3 feet away from him, in fact, every day and every night we come out here, we try to find, we're playing a game lately called Find the Frogs. And I'm telling you, look around, you don't know where they are, you don't know, all of a sudden there's one in a flower pot or on your shoelaces or something. Unbelievable. But this guy here, he's like the maven. The king of camouflage, Frog Adamusco. Look at him just hiding there. He thinks I don't see him. What a life. Now, one of the next things that we're going to be doing, we're getting a Jett 50 from George Aldrich. And I expect it to be here in the next day or so. So I figured today I'd get the patient prepped for making a pipe tunnel here and try to think of what the option. We've done this so many times before. It's really pretty cut and dry. We want to make a pipe tunnel, get some sheeting in there, fuel-proof it, and that can all be drying in the day that we're still waiting for the motor to get here. What I always like to do is lay out the exact piece that I want to cut out of here with tape, so I know I can go back and forth and kind of get an even cut, maybe even on the first shot. Well, what I do, I lay this out several times until I'm happy with the cut line. Because what I'd like to do, if possible, is get this, and I have to figure out what angle I want to leave some of that material as the bridge for the cowl mount. But back here, I can kind of put a flute on there. But to lay it out all in tape before you make any cuts, that's always the best way I know to do it. Now this is where it's a good place, if I didn't tighten it up, a nice brand new XL blade, and just put a score cut right along the tape. Since this block is pretty well hollowed, this should come out in one piece. There's no substitute for a new blade when you're doing this kind of a cut. Go nice and slow, try to follow the edge of the tape. Now I want to remove some of these formers, but I'll leave a radius in there to add a little strength. Radius these out, and then I want to sheet the back piece again, so I have a sealed unit here. And I want to make sure I make a nice air passageway here. But I don't want to lose all the strength. I can fine-tune these cuts. Okay, now we got the whole back out. Now I want a sheet cross grain from the back of the horn back to here. That'll take the place of the formers that we've just taken out. What I do is I take some scrap 16th, I make a little pattern that fits in there. I know I need to make this side plus, this side is okay. I've got the notch for the horn okay. So I just use this for a pattern, and this side is okay, this side. So I just need to go plus on this side when I make the real piece. But always use up a piece of scrap just to make the pattern. Do a dry fit. I know it's rubbing here and I can see air here, so I can transpose this onto a good piece of wood now. It's always best, and this is a key thing, use the pattern. Make the part just a little bit. See, here's where I wanted to add material up here. And now do the final fit and leave the dust on. Leaving the dust on will help the glue kick off. This is the little corner where it's going to butt up. There's probably a glue fillet there, so this corner I want to radius off. I'm going to get a nice tight fit around the horn before I glue this in. And that'll be the first piece. Once I get a nice tight fit, I'll CA around it. Try not to glue the horn to it, of course. Okay, that's all glued in there. Hey, how you doing? Okay, I got the second piece tacked in there. I want to make sure everything's level and square. I had some lines on there when I built the plane for the push rod tunnel, and I'm using those for a little reference, and I'll just CA that in and then make the back post. Next thing is I got to make a little half moon piece to seal it off, because I want this whole area to be sealed. And that's easy to do. I'll just take that measurement, put a half moon, and then sand it till I can just pop that piece right in. Done on other retrofits too is just soak the whole area with thin CA. Use a paintbrush, use a Q-tip. Cheap insurance, because what it does, it stiffens up the wood, gives it a little rigidity, and you need a base for the paint. This way you don't have to paint 40 coats of paint in here to get it fuel proof. A flux brush is good for doing this too. Okay, a light sanding finishes that off. That's all sealed, ready for paint. A radius the whole edge around it. Now I need to get in here with a Dremel tool or a knife or something and make a hole for the header so that I can connect that piece with the header, and then figure out how much of this, and I won't know that until I get the engine, how much of this has to get cut away so I can put the pipe connectors on. But basically, for the first day of doing a retrofit, this is pretty good. And we've done enough of these. This certainly, if you go back over the old videos, there must be 20 of these on the tape. This originally had a V deflector going right through it, and you can see roughly from the tank floor up, and I don't know exactly how much, but we're going to have to make some kind of an allotment to get air in there. But we'll leave these vents in place, and if they prove to be like Ted Fancher's, that they're not working, and we'll just Scotch tape over them. Well, as messy as this gets at times, at least I see some progress here. But I've been trying to think of the various ways of cutting this hole, and I'm going to do it with a knife. I was just thinking it may be easier to do it, just go right in there with a Dremel tool. Just I'm going to try to do it with a knife and see what happens. This wood carving set can come in handy, and I have some blades that look, well, I've used these before. Anyway, Jim Damerow, when he went to China on business, brought me this. I don't even know who makes this, but it's a nice wood carving set. I'm sure there's an American version of it for, you know, whatever reason. I'm looking for one. This looks like it might be worth trying. I want to be able to get in there and get a straight cut. This is probably okay. And you can, by the way, you can sharpen these on a piece of leather, an ordinary leather belt, a strap. That is sharp. The problem with this is I lined this with 64 plywood, so to poke through it is a little difficult. Even with these, after they're sharpened. I guess that was the whole purpose of doing it this way, was so... Oh, that's tough. It's going to be more work than I thought. Messy, but it works. Now I just want to keep grinding. I'll change to a bigger diameter bit until I can get that hole to go right through for the header. Messy. It's just one messy part of the job. That's about all we're going to get done today, too. Trouble with doing this grinding thing in the house here, it's really messy. This gets so messy here, it's just terrible. This is the whole problem with doing this kind of work on a hot summer day. Even out here. And you're sweating, and so you're sticking to all this stuff. Anyway, I want to take it outside, take some compressed air, and blow this out. This was the tool of choice. The ball end carbide mill worked the best on all of that. That was definitely the only way to cut through that plywood. I was dreaming, thinking I was going to use those knives. But it worked well. Oh, look, he bought pond food today. Check it out. Birds. What is this?
Bird CD to put on a computer.
A bird CD. I love it. You mean I can listen to birds? Cardinals, too.
Identify all birds.
Wow. We're going to be somehow. Did you see the frog? He's out on the... He's in the lily pads.
180. And
there he is.
He did a 180. He was always to the
left. He's over there now.
He did a 180 and moved
Look at the sucker hiding in there. He thinks I don't know he's a frog. He was up on a waterfall this morning. Look at this guy. Anyway, we're expecting rain. I want to get this done. Frogs. Oh, it's over in the driveway. I want to blow this out, and it's always a good idea to do it with compressed air. You can see all the stuff from the effects of that carbide tool. The only way to get that out is with compressed air, and outside is better than inside, that's for sure. You guys had a good day, though, huh?
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, we'll work on you tomorrow. More to come. Okay, today I want to get the Dremel tool out, and I want to carve that little ditch right down through the hardwood and then out through the main former to make the continuation of the hole right through so that that header can go right through when we get it. Now, after looking at all the fits that I'm going to need, I want to make this, because this is going to be a test plane and we're going to have the motor in and out a million times. I want to be able to drop the motor right in there with the header already attached. I never want to have to take the header off. So one of the things, and I know one of the mistakes, well, not a mistake, but one of the things I didn't like about the previous way I had the tween pipe set up, you always had to put the header on and off, and then it would always leak. Well, I'm going to hopefully take care of that problem by never removing the header. And what I'm going to try to do here is make this so I can drop this in, and I'll come up with some different kind of cowling mount. if we use the cowling. Right now I don't even care about the cowling. I just want to make this that I can get in and work on this and make all the adjustments I have to. And I'm going to take the Dremel tool and make a trough right down there so I have as much variability as I possibly can. Yeah, you can see we're making a mess again. I took this outside, took compressed air and blew all the parts out, but we got a pretty nice trough now going right down there. The next thing I want to do is get in here with some thin CA and Q-tips and seal everything that's raw wood with thin CA. The thin CA, it hardens up the wood, of course, gives you a little base for the paint. And what I'm going to do, I have some test samples of Brodak's new dope here. And I want to run out. This will be a good place to check them on, to see how the fuel proofing holds up. Anything that's raw wood is going to get the thin CA treatment here. This gives us yet another test for Brodak dope. Now, just give me a second here. Since this is so highly pigmented, and I can give you an example, look at the pigment in the bottom of this. What I want to do is I want to stir this up real good. See, this is the whole trick to getting good coverage in white, is you don't want to fool around. Make sure you stir it. I'm going to use, this is an excellent test, by the way, because we're using old wood, and this is going to really take a beating, that's for sure. Any of my test planes or motor test planes like this, there's going to be a lot of people flying this, a lot of people having fun, and we're not going to bother wiping it off between flights. And in by that pipe tunnel, it always turns into a mess. So again, it's a real world test for the paint, for the material. Always stir it up real well, though. Now we'll see how the humidity is. If we can, you want to make this on the thin side for sure, so you get good binding. Let's see what that's like. And obviously we're not going to spray it, but this will give us a real good test. I'm putting just a little more thinner than dope in. Anytime you're doing a repair or a retrofit, you want to get good adhesion. But again, the more of this stuff we can test, the more feedback, the more information we can get into the little data bank that we're establishing on this. Now, as always, if we were going to spray this, it would have to be a lot thinner. That's one of the things. Since we're going to brush it, we don't really have to be too concerned with that. Did you ever shake a bottle and you find out the lid wasn't on tight and you wind up turning yourself into a snowman with white paint? Anyway, these are the only drawers I could find. Another funny thing, I guess there's life's full of funny little things, but I thought that CD-ROM was going to be something I could put in my radio and listen to bird calls. By the way, one of the things in all our testing of this material, one of the things that's proven to be really beautiful is the thinner, the compatible thinner to the Randolph dope. And what I'm trying to do, a couple of things here, is make sure it's covered in one coat, which it looks like it is. I may even put a coat of clear on top of this to be a good test for the clear. But I want to make sure I get in all the corners, all the angles, because this, again, has to be fuel proof. That's one of the major things. And if you've ever painted other brands of white and you know what frustration it can be just to get something covered, this looks like it's going to be fine. Again, you don't really know these things until you do the test, and talk is cheap, and writing things in magazines is cheap, and video is even cheap. Getting to do it and having it work is important. I'm trying to get it out in the sun where the sun will cook this in half an hour or so, and then I can get back in the shop working. We have one of those rare days where President Nixon must be on vacation or something, or he's having an affair with Monica, I don't know. I'm just making sure I get in all the corners. That's the super main thing, is to get all the corners. There's no way, because as soon as there's a little pinhole, the stuff wicks right in. And even where the horn is back there, I'm going to, when I get done with this, I'm going to make some kind of a little cover or put a piece of tape over that little pinhole, that little hole where the horn is. I like it, I hope. I'd like it to be sealed, completely sealed. By the way, you could do this with epoxy and a hairdryer, but the problem is that would add weight. I know this isn't going to add as much weight. It'll be a little lighter. Now, 2 brushed on coats seem to cover this well. I'm going to let this dry. I want to take it downstairs, and after lunch I'll fit up the cowling. I can fit up the tank and the twin pipe mount. Boy, I tell you, this is getting to be a lot of fun. Every day it's find a frog. See if you can find the frog in this picture. Can you find the frog in this picture? There he is, right there. Now tell me, that is camouflage. Even a fish can't tell where he is every day. The other day he was up in a waterfall, he was over here, he was on a lily pad. Oh, God, unbelievable. Anyway, I want this to dry up thoroughly before I start handling it. And in this, we usually allow about, in this weather out here, it's probably 80 degrees. In 20 minutes, this is ready to handle. Ah, that's nice and dry. One of the good old tricks from twin pipe days was this. I don't know if we ever put this on the video before. Because what happens, I don't have the measurement for exactly where the header is going to hit. But a lot of times it'll just hit the front of the tank here, and you don't want it to be too close. So what I do, I just put a little piece of wood on the back, or if I use a bigger tank, I'm going to have to somehow adjust this. Starting with a 5-ounce tank, that's roughly what I think it's going to use. But now what will happen, if I need to move, if the header just happens to hit here, I can just slice that off till there's just a nice little amount of clearance there. Now that's one of the things from the old twin pipe days that I remember being a good trick. That paint dried up beautiful, by the way. Good little trick with the tank shims is to put the little notch in and leave just enough sticking out that you can grab that with pliers. Even if you're not touching the header, it lets air go by. It's a little, you want to have as much clearance around that header. Remember, that back of that header is the hottest part of the whole engine. A really good trick for any plane. In the Carnauba wax, this is mold release Formula 5 wax. It's really straight Carnauba wax. And what I do is always wax the shims. Now that keeps the oil from soaking in. Also, when you go to pull the shims out, you get a nice tight fit. When you want to pull them out, and you know now that I said that, guaranteed these shims are going to stick like you epoxied them in place. Now seriously, this is a good trick. A little bit of Carnauba wax, rub it in, buff it off, and that shim just makes, when you got the field, and you know we're going to have to shim this thing 1,000 times before we're happy with it, especially if we're going to start doing some serious testing. Now, when you retrofit a plane like this, it's a whole different ball. I can't even get the top one. It's a whole different ball game, to heck with it, than when you design a plane from scratch. If I were designing this whole nose section from scratch, I would make the cowls significantly different. And this is the last plane that we have a wooden cowl on. This is the last of the wooden cowls. I got to figure some other kind of hold down for this. But what it's going to do, I'll put some screws in the side or something here. Now, if I had a mold for this cowling, how convenient. I could just mold up another one without all the put new notches. No, you can't do that with a wooden cowl. So and I'm certainly not going to carve another one, not for a test plane, but the last of the wooden cowls. It leaves a little extra air clearance around the header, even with all the shims in there. To improvise, I've got 2 little pieces of plywood in here. Let's see if I can get some little blind nuts or something in there. Well, I can't use this center mount anymore. So the thing is, I know inevitably I want to be able to take the motor and the header and just drop it right in. But had this plane been designed originally from the get-go, obviously this wouldn't be a problem. We got to improvise here a little bit. Well, the way this worked out, even though it's a little bit of a not the way I would want it to be. Again, because it's a retrofit, I sunk 2 of those brass inserts into, and it's really just hard balsa wood there. But boy, this would be nice to have a fiberglass cowling on. Just mold up a new cowling, and we could do away with a lot of this other peripheral stuff. But hey, for now, this will get us some testing in the next couple of days. We're just about finished today. This will get us some testing, and I'm really looking forward to this. This is going to be a fun project.
Give an idea of the airflow. Should be picking up some airflow through the sides, right through the bottom,
out the back. And of course the key thing here is the whole header is exposed, that air should come out. Check this out. It's so from Craig's Ugly Feet. I got this from Lou Melanson. Look at this. Is this awesome? I think one of these should go to John Brodak. Which one should we give Brodak? Holy crow. Is this cool? That's pretty nice. Now this is made, as far as I know, from a digital camera. Oh my God, this is great. Unbelievable. So big I can't even get it on one page. I got the engine from George. This is a Jett 50. And I've been talking to George almost every day on the phone. The history of this engine is pretty unique, and I expect anybody that's interested, they'd rather hear it from George than from me, but it's an interesting story how this engine was developed. Very interesting, in fact. Obviously, before it goes in an airplane, I'm going to put some runtime on it. I need to get my old test stand out. I got the pipe that George sells, and it looks like a beautiful pipe. I have a couple of old pipes. One of these is one of the old S&W pipes. Each one is a little different, but if you basically lay them side by side, you'll see they've come up with, over the years, numbers that are pretty, probably pretty standard in the industry or whatever. I got a Johnson header, and this, of course, came with the motor package. Some extra zip ties, some real high-tech silicone material. I think I got this from Bob McDonald for gasket material, but that's all I have. I got to find a source for that. You need various hardware to fit it in a plane. You need if you want to use the rubber deflector. And by the way, a little tip. These rubber deflectors, when people put them on 60s or on barrel mufflers like Randy Holcroft's muffler, they really restrict an engine. And I found this one that's made for a 60 to a 2.70 cubic inch engine. And I noticed the inlet and outlet is about twice the size. So this is not the standard little dinky thing you see that chokes down an engine and you have no power. I have the spinner that was on Strager, but the real beautiful thing, now George sent me this. Of course, he sent me all the instructions, and I'll tell you, it's a real pleasure working with somebody you can just dial up on a phone. All the special instructions on how to break it in. And this is a real, I don't know if you can see how undercambered this prop is and the workmanship. Now, since I've made props, I know how hard this is to do. I'm going to check the balance. But the undercamber is just, I don't know if you can see that. It's really, really nice. So I've got a bunch of hardware. The first thing to do, of course, is to break the engine in. I got to set up my test stand over on a bench, get the hardware put together, and get a feel for just how this engine. I want to get some runtime on the bench, and then some runtime in the plane where it's just flying level if possible. But right now, just the basic setup. Now, one of the instructions George has told me in there is to make sure there's no pinholes in the pipes. So one of the first things I want to do is check the pipes for pinholes and check this old pipe here. Of course, this one has a pressure fitting. The new one doesn't have a pressure fitting, so we'll be restricted to just running no pipe pressure, but eventually we'll probably retrofit it with a pressure fitting. And Midgley is sending me all of his stuff so I can start making my own pipes too for testing purposes. You look in the exhaust
opening, you can see just how mild the timing on this is relative to the high-performance version of the engine. You can see how much of that cylinder material on a full all-out pylon engine, that whole space would probably be taken up with exhaust port. But Venturi, it's a 183 right from George, and a sealed needle valve assembly. Well, the first thing I need to do is get this down into a test stand and start making up some supports for the pipe so that I can do a little bit of testing, a little bit of running with this on a bench, and then maybe tomorrow, the next day, get it shoehorned into a plane.
Now here's a real treat to be able to get a prop right from the manufacturer. By the way, George is going to be importing these and not have it out of balance by much. This probably won't require any. Looks pretty good just like that. Some 3 blades and probably all 4 blades. You really should check the balance though. These look real close. We'll stay at every station. What that does is it compares the left blade to the right blade. This one might be 1 swipe of sandpaper heavier. It's real close. One swipe here would be all it would need. On any 3 blade, all you're comparing is the 2 blades. With this at 12 o'clock, you're seeing which of the other 2 is the heavier of the 2, if any. Take the heavy one and just one little swipe at a time. Again, this prop has really been a surprise. This is really some nice, beautiful prop. And when you go to all the trouble of making your own carbon props, you can really appreciate the quality when you get something that's really ready to use. Again, just look for the heavy blade. This gets a little fanatical, but we certainly want to do a valid test on everything exactly the way George says to set it up, without handicapping it with a prop that might be not right or whatever. Even the props I made, the 5 blades, boy, were they a ton of work to get balanced. Half a swipe. It may seem like overkill here, but I like to get as much valid testing in, and I don't want to just guess at things. And having an engine that's vibrating because the prop's out of balance isn't giving the motor a fair shot either. We want to know roughly how much power we have available and if we need more or if we want to soften it. Still just a bit. I'm getting down to fine hairs here, but any new motor program, I like to get some bench time on this. I'd like to get some time in a plane. Obviously, I don't want to just put it in a plane, run out, fly it, and get a lean run or anything even similar to that. And this is the best way I know of to do any 3-blade prop. Make sure it stops at all 3 stations. Be very fussy about it. When you've got all 3 stations, that's ready to put on a motor. Now, I personally like, another thing that I always do, and I'll do it to this prop, you see the way these props come from the manufacturer? They're smooth here. I want to put a knurl on this edge. I want to get that flat and get a knurl on there so I can get the knurl on the back and on the front. This has a very small knurl, but I want to get a knurl on the whole side so that I can get the best possible grip with the washer on that. Okay, the nose cone on this is like a K and B. Nose cone needs to be snugged on. Now I need to get a correct counterbore. In fact, maybe these props already have the counterbore on them. Oh, George, I'm in love. Okay, so I see there's a very small washer. I need to knurl the washer, and this is knurled real nice, so I can knurl that, I can knurl this, and this will be ready to go. And by the way, this has a shaft like a K&B. That this is replaceable, because what happens in pylon racing, speed, this tends to bend, and you don't want to buy a whole new engine or crankshaft. So, like the K&B, you can just replace this one piece, and you're all set. It's a common ordinary quarter 28 machine stud. And that's nice that the prop comes with that little counterbore already on it. That's really nice. The other thing I do is I try to identify each prop. In this case I put Windy number 1. This will be the first of the Jett 50 props. Also I have the back of that knurled. I just need to do the steel washer and I can bolt this up in place. And that is important no matter what motor you're using. In my opinion, that's real important if you use a Fox 35. You can see what I've done to that. And that's a steel washer, by the way. Now this has some machine oil in it and no glow plug. It has the normal bump at the top, the normal tight spot, which the instructions say is perfectly normal. It's a tight fit, it's a new motor anyway. But that's all we're going to get done tonight, I can see. Basically the pizza's here. Hard to believe. Anyway, we'll pick this up tomorrow morning or tomorrow night. Todd Lee is coming back Monday, and the contest is this weekend at Middlesex, so maybe I can get this ready and do some bench running either at the contest or before it. Now tonight, the winner of the Find a Frog contest was, and we've named this guy PL Frog. It's a long story, but his name is PL. And there he is on a lily pad. PL Frog. After a hard day of working on model airplanes. It's always nice to feed the fish. And what's for supper? Take a wild guess. Take a wild guess. One of the things, the epoxy, the little patch I made with the pipe resin, there was one pinhole in this pipe, and it's always better to fix a pinhole before you run it. That's very unusual that you have one. Sometimes you have a lot of little ones, you never can tell, but it's always good to test them. Frank McMillan wrote about that. You could read his article on how to do it. Another thing, seal in the back of the engine now. I heard Paul Walker years ago say he epoxied it right to the back of the engine and laid a permanent part of the engine, which is something I did too, but then if you have to get it off, it's a pain. So what I'm going to try, and this is probably going to be the first time I've done this, is I'm going to epoxy it and use a gasket too. See how that works, being we're going to bench run it anyway. So I made up this little gasket. This is material I got from Bob McDonald years ago. I'll look in the automotive store and see if I can come up with a supplier of this. And the easiest way to do it is just a brand new razor, a brand new XL blade, if you will, and cut over newspaper. That saves a lot of wear and tear on your blade edge. This material does cut kind of easy. Boy, from the old days of the late 80s when we were doing this, and we really didn't realize how important at the time it was to keep this all sealed up. Well, years have gone by, and this has proven to be one of the things, if you want to keep everything as reliable as possible. I'm sure Joe Adamusco is being very careful and cautious too about setting this up. And of course you need some of the high temperature resin. You need to get that from George Spar if you want to do this effectively. Or you can use a gasket sealing material. I like the epoxy better though. Really a lot of ways to do this. I like to cut it flat like this. This is such, you used to be able to buy VMAX gaskets and they fit a lot of the other motors. But the Rossies, we always had to make our own gaskets. And the YS's, you couldn't use the same gasket, so come up with this little trick of get them this way, put the screws in just to hold it in place. Where's the other screw? Sure. Lose the screw, Ertnowski. Anyway, the reason I want to get this is I want to get this epoxy drying overnight. That's one of the things. And tomorrow, of course, is the contest, and we'll hopefully have this ready for the contest. I can do some bench running on it. I'm not going to fly it until next weekend. And now I can let me take the new one, and just trim out the middle, using the edge as a guide. You really don't want to have the gasket sticking down into the exhaust if you can help it. Like to get a nice clean edge in there. And I'm going to mix up some of that high temperature epoxy. The source for that is George Spar. If you need to get some, just ask them for the stuff they make tune pipes with. Dave Midgley had a good source for that too. He had a good supply. Okay, in effect now you have the things that I found years ago that didn't work well, and I may as well just go through my little notebook. I dug out my tune pipe notebook. One of the things that I had tried years ago, and believe me, this was not a great idea, it sounded good at the time, was what I used to do is when you put motor offset in a pipe engine, you have to put some of that offset into this face so that the header then takes a little bit of the angle up. And what I had done is I had tried time after time to thin this surface out in an attempt to save some weight, and made it 1/16 of an inch, 3/32. It really is about 1/4 right now. And by doing that, it almost guaranteed this face would warp. So I'm going to leave this one totally stock, mix up some of that high temperature epoxy, and then let this sit overnight. That epoxy takes 24 hours to cure. At least some of these things I've already gone through, so that we hope we'll get a real reliable run on this right away. You set the epoxy there. I want to wipe this surface with M600, some degreasing agent. I know George has put oil in the engines. A little bit of, I'll just get this surface, alcohol I guess would be okay too, as dry as possible, so that we can get a good bind on this epoxy. And we'll see how reliable this really is. Again, in the early days of doing tune pipes, this was one of the constant problems, was that you always had to have 100 gaskets with you. You can see from my toolbox, these are still in there from from the late 80s, when I used to make these by the dozen, and you'd just be replacing them every 10 flights for the VMAXs. Still have a bunch of them. I want to even take any chance, anybody that knows how fanatical I am for having spare parts. I want to have a spare, at least one of these in the toolbox, so I may as well make a spare up right now before I boil. It's a lot easier to do it down here in the shop. And I have one more piece of this material. I'll have to contact Bob McDonald, see if he still has this, or somebody else. Randy may have a source for it. Somebody, I'm sure they've already figured this out. Boy, we really had an adventure, though, in the very beginning with these header gaskets. That was really a pain, even on the OPSs. Resin that we used, and this is the resin Dave had this up by his house when we were making the pipes in quantity and selling them. Let's zero this out first. It's a 5-to-1 mix, so you want it to be real accurate if you possibly can. Let's see if we can move this over 1/2 gram. Now what we'll do is go over 2.5. I'm going to need a little bit of this. Come on, baby. And this stuff really stinks too. If you have any, I really shouldn't even be doing this in the house. Okay, that's 1/2 gram. Now we want to go over 2.5.
bit too much. Now what's happened in the since the last time we made our own tuned pipes, what's happened is we've gotten a lot better resins. These were really crude resins, I remember. There was a lot of experimenting when Dave was doing it. But we have some of the EPON resins now, and with Wayne Trivett's help, I hope Wayne's going to come up with something. I know he's making gas tanks and all kinds of stuff. The idea here is to get it 5-to-1, get it well mixed. Anytime you think it's mixed, mix it some more. And we'll hope this will be a kind of a permanent solution to our gasketing problem. If it isn't, we'll be able to scrape it right off. Anytime you mix this or any epoxy resin, mix it. You think it's mixed, mix it 2 minutes more, and I won't let the camera run, but believe me, just, you think it's mixed? Yeah, that's great. Mix it 2 more minutes. By the way, you can put dye in this epoxy. Some of Randy's pipes that are coming down the road, and the Smith pipes or whatever they are, they have dyed the resin. It looks real nice. You can make it match the plane, so you kind of wing on the wing over, you don't see a big black pipe sticking out the bottom of the plane. Alright, we'll give this about 2 more minutes. This has a tendency to blow out. It's right by the screw. Obviously, it's not going to work its way up this way, so I want to make sure I got it. It's perfectly clean with M600 and a real smooth, easy coat of this. By putting it on and taking it off a few times, I'll get any contamination off of there that may still be there. Again, this was cleaned with M600, this face. And obviously when you do this, you got to wait 24 hours before you run the engine. Or you should anyway. The age-old thing of how to get this on the engine without making a mess. Well, used to be able to do this. I don't know if we can do it with this one. The VMAXs, you could get these to stick right up. Let's see if this works. I don't think so. No, I don't have enough epoxy on it. Kind of letting it soak a little bit. Again, if this doesn't work, we'll go into some real intensive, down at the automotive store, trying to get some real high quality gasketing material. And I do have a couple of contacts in the automotive industry, including Craig Gunder, I hope, that would be able to get me some real high quality stuff if this doesn't pan out. Let's see if I can get one of the screws through it. Again, whenever you do something like this, you're always starting from ground zero, of course. And there's new little tools you need to make and new little gimwagachis and gizmos and who knows what. And that holds it in place while you install it. The trick here is to get it torqued in equally. And obviously not strip out the screws. Well, we're going to see how this works. Any epoxy that drools out the side, you can just wipe with some alcohol. Alcohol will take it right off. Got a rag with some alcohol here. I want to know, even though I don't agree with a lot of this technology, there's some of the stuff that I don't really agree with. Like, my feeling is these baffles should all be conical, and that's what we did when we made our pipes. But I want to know where the first baffle is, because that's really just a reference point, like a shoe size. So I know it's this far into the pipe, and I want to put a scratch or a mark of some kind. And I'm going to start off by using this at about 1/4 of an inch before the seam. 1/4 of an inch before the seam. Rotate it, make sure the seam is straight. It's 1/4 of an inch before the seam.
first baffle. Kind of interesting baffles. I don't think I can get that on the, if I had multiple holes in one side. Kind of cool. I'm sure the pipe design has come a long way since the 90s. Up some kind of a gizmo to hold the pipe in place so I can adjust the length. Really not a big deal. We've already had this done already. Really nice is they made the pipe length with this piece, so the recommendation was 16 3/4. I'd like to be at 18. To start with, I have just enough that I can, for right now, just put a little piece in a coupler and that'll be fine. In fact, I'll just run it shorter for right now. On the bench, it'll be 16 3/4. Well, I need to put this piece back here. Let's see how I can do this. Bend that back. Any kind of little gizmo is fine here, as long as you're not wearing the pipe against the, put a piece of rubber or something in between. And what this allows me to do is move the pipe back and forth while, actually I could even do it while it's running. Here, I've been looking a lot. I took an old piece of tune pipe coupler and cut a slot out of it. The idea being I don't want this pipe to rub on the steel while we're doing our testing. And that, by the way, one of the first pipes I made, I hard mounted it to a piece of steel, went out, ran it in the driveway, came back and it had a hole in it. So that was not too cool. Need to tighten up all these clamps. Make sure this whole mount has some, well, we've been using this for a lot of years. This will pretty much be ready to go. I emailed George to see which glow plug he liked. In the meantime, I'll just put a Thunderbolt in here when we do get out to the field. Boy, this is a nice feel. A nice feeling motor. I noticed the needle valve is on the wrong side for my ships. I have it set up with the needle valve on the other side. Obviously, George flies the other way around, so for him, this is the normal way, right way, whatever. Anyway, this really feels nice. Anyway, we'll get some bench running on this, maybe after the contest or during the contest, I don't know, but of course the wife wants to go antiquing today, so. And believe me when I tell you, years ago, late 80s, probably 86 on, we did a lot of work with tune pipes and with various motors, low pitch props, all these setups. It's never been obviously written about. In fact, I think it might be on purpose that some people leave me out of the loop when a lot of my planes got butchered up for these test things and everything. But hey, it's a whole new world out there. And we are going to be looking forward to next week. Todd Lee is going to be here. Maybe even getting him to do some test piloting for us. Boy, that's a nice feeling motor. Nice. The only part of this left is to take this whole package and see if we can fit it in there without further ado. And I don't know that we can. I'm going to be very careful. We already broke the engine in. We already gutted out the plane. We're already pretty much ready to do whatever cutting and chomping on the bit that we can get this mounted in there, and hopefully tomorrow get down the flying field. First thing I want to do is I want to make up a box of, this is from the old making our own tune pipe days. Any parts that I might need for spares or for testing, I'd like to have some short pieces of 3/4 inch. A nice variety. Since the header is 3/4 inch is another piece I can use. A lot of these lessons were hard learned years ago. I hope I remember some of them. Another nice piece. Put that in our spare parts box. Want to take at least one spare pipe. About 2 million zip ties will probably do it. I want to also make up a little manifold with a pressure fitting if I want to try that. Well, we have so much stuff in here. It's unbelievable how many pipes we made years ago. You wonder how many... Yeah, I wish I knew how much money was in this box. Right. Anyway, there's the lesson here, is not to go to the field and leave anything at home. Hey, we got an extra coupler. At least I can use this. Actually, a lot of this stuff I can use. I don't want to leave myself short. Extra pieces of pipe we were using for couplers. Now this motor is considerably narrower than a Super Tiger 60, so one of the things, the bolt holes obviously need to be adjusted here, and I need to make some decision how I'm going to do this. I can move it all to the center. I have a lot of choices here. Or I can try to use the front two holes, which will give me the crankshaft alignment. The back won't give me the crankshaft alignment. This is going to be one of the tricky parts of doing this, and I don't have the manifold machined for offset, so I'm going to run this at straight 0-0. But you can see I have a lot of play, a lot of room I can use here. I just need to make a little modification. Now one of the things with the Jett, I want to get an accurate spinner back plate. I'm just touching this with a taper reamer, because this hole is keyed to a little spot on the Jett 50 that goes behind the back plate. And I want that to be a nice precision fit into that notch. Give me two choices, one of spacing the prop a little further forward, one a little further back. It's a good idea to put a little identification on there so I know that's a precision reamed hole, and also to knurl the back. All the faces of the prop and spinner, everything to be knurled. Now the other decision we have is I certainly don't want to have that running right into the back. I want to, if I can, capture the needle valve, and I can if I just move this a little bit forward. I can leave a little extra space here. And I'm going to have to figure out exactly how much material to remove. I'll have to do it little by little, because obviously the thing that I want to do is keep as much of the motor mount material as possible. And then I'm going to make little plates that sandwich this in position. Before doing any dremeling on the mounts, I want to seal the pipe and seal the whole front of the engine with duct tape, so no chance any little shavings get in. And by the way, look at, I guess that's mounted for something else or meant for some other purpose. I don't know what that would be there for, but we've decided to let the crankshaft stick out just a little bit, and so we can capture almost the whole front hole, and I'll just have to remove the corner of the back and then make myself a sandwich plate to fit in there. Now, even though this isn't the first choice on how to do this, believe me, like the double star test program, this is one way we get to try this engine without having to really machine the engine unnecessarily. And a needle valve hole doesn't exactly line up, but I'm sure it's close enough. And I'm sure I'm going to have to make a little modification either to the cowling or move away some of this material from the venturi. So what I'm trying to do is start from the front and work to the back. Another thing too, always want to put some nails or some rough spots, threads like, the scratches going this way, so that the coupler stays on nice and tight and leak proof. Okay, we can finalize the tank venting now. And then put everything back in the way it was, the clamps, the sandwich clamps, so, and I guess we can start fitting up the cowling. Now apparently this doesn't really line up, and this is kind of weak here. I suspect this is going to need some reinforcement, but I'm not going to have time to do that tonight. I will think of in the future maybe putting some little set screws or pins or something in there, but basically that takes care of that part of it, and that went together, well, I guess, relatively nice. Now I need to
measure this up, measure the pipe up, and figure exactly where that pipe mount should go. Now, because the pipe mount, I want to be able to go down to about 15 and a half and out to about 19. I want to take a 4-inch range and put it right in the middle. So it'll give me the most range, I think. Okay, now the only problem that we've really run into here is the header that we have. The rise is a little bit on the low side. So I'm going to call George, find out if he can give me a header with maybe a 1/2 inch or a 1/4 inch more rise in it. They come in several sizes. And maybe they make one for pattern ships. I just want to make sure I got plenty of room in there. The way this works. Now see, what happens is the back of the pipe, when you're looking down, the bottom sticks out. But this is a total temporary, just to get us in the air tomorrow. And we're kind of pushing for time here. I had to make the mount in the back. I was rushing to get this through. It's already dark outside. With this fire in the house, Jesus, this is such a damn mess. So what'll happen is I can cut that mount down. Once I get a higher rise header, that'll kind of lay the pipe back in. I'm not so sure that's terrible, but it certainly would look nicer if that was back down. And the other choice we have is we can, once we get the pipe length right, we can do what we did in 91 and make a pipe with a bend in it. Pipes don't have to be straight. Go look at a racing motorcycle. So, we're just going to wait for some, well, I hope tomorrow's going to be decent. Get out there. I've put this many times on video, but just as a reminder, this is 1976. These are pipes that I handmade with Kenny Augustine's help, and of course they're all steel, welded steel. But you can notice the kinks and bends, and they wrap around parts of the frame, and that's me, by the way, on the motorcycle. That technology can be made if you needed to make a pipe with an angle in it, which we've done many times already. But for right now, I want to test George's setup exactly as he sent it to me. We'll save this tricky stuff for later. Now that really did. It took a lot longer than maybe it looks like on the video. But it sure is a lot quicker for me than if I had to make a whole plane from scratch here. And it'll allow me to spend the rest of the season, because Craig is having a knee operation. I'm not going to get to spend a whole lot of extra time at contests and stuff. But some of it is going to be cut back. But it'll get me in the air that any time I can get up to the field, I can get some testing. And maybe the only thing left that I really would want to do is get a pressure fitting in a pipe so I can run pressure and no pressure. Again, that's, maybe want to seal this up. Like a little, again, I'm going to have to work on that cowling attachment a little bit. But anyway, it will get us in the air. We got all our spare parts in a box, and that's what I always suggest. Everything that relates to tune pipes, from hacksaw to tubing to anything spare. And I hope we're going to get down the field. I'm kind of getting itchy. This motor's already been run in. Getting itchy to see how it flies. And we're going to load everything up for tomorrow, and I'm going to get low. Heck, it's already getting dark out there. But again, trying to get prepared as much as I can. It's been a long time since I've had a whole new setup like this, and it's really been, so far, been a very entertaining, challenging, fun, and that's really what model aviation amounts to be for most people. It's a challenge. And Strega, after all these years, who would have thought when we originally made the plane that somewhere down the road we'd be waiting to go to the field tomorrow with a whole new engine package to test. And the only thing I emailed George is having a pipe stick out of the bottom of the body like that. Well, a bigger rise in the header would put that angle right back. You wouldn't even see it from the side view. Okay, first flight exactly is set up by George, and with the little rubber boot on the end of it, which I don't really like to have on there, and with the pipe kind of hanging down, we really need to get the other header. This lasted one flight. This for sure was restricting it enough that I could hear it. So what I'm going to do is fly it one flight, with the 3-blade. Again, launch RPM is about 94, 9500 with this prop and the pipe set at 18 inches. Now, I took out all the old carbon and wood props, and I got some 3-blades here. While I have the 3-blade spinner on the plane, I want to give these all a test, give them all a shot. They've all been way down, deep pitched. But for this plane, it looks like if I want this prop to work on this plane, I'm either going to have to do one or two things. I'm going to have to shorten the pipe a little bit to get the RPM up, or if I want to stay at this RPM, get a little more pitch in the prop. Now that's the beauty of this whole thing, is you can go either way. You can shorten the pipe, that'll up the RPM a little bit. And one of the things George recommended was 16 3/4, so I think before we go any further, I'll try this prop with the pipe shorter. And one of the nice things for working on this kind of deal here is having those foam pads. By the way, Ken Thompson is selling those right now. And it looks like that would be a handy thing to have when you're at the field and you don't really want to tie up two people's time. And I don't know how much more I can shorten it. I really need to have that header, a higher header, or to machine an angle on that header, because the pipe joint is kind of funky there. Okay, we got the pipe shortened to where George originally said to put it, and it seems like it's just a bit better. But the engine still has load time, and I don't want to go pushing it. I know there's 2 head gaskets in the motor. I know he has the deck height set. Basically, in the instructions, it said for about an hour of running, and I guess when we're at the end of this gallon of fuel, we'll have an hour of running on it, somewhere in that neighborhood. It's using about 5 ounces of fuel a flight, and we're not trying to do patterns. I just want to put some time on a motor, get the feel for how this is going to run, and I'd like to, before the day's out, do a couple of prop tests, get an idea. It feels like, my initial impression is that this prop is just a little bit on the big side, at least for a new motor with 2 head gaskets, and doesn't have the Venturi opened up yet, so it's possible. When I get back to the house, of course, I'll email George and find out what the deal is, if he thinks that's okay. Where'd the battery go, Mike? You happen to see the battery? Oh, put it where it belongs. I'll never find it. And it looks like the day is going to hold up, like we're going to really get some time here. Uh-oh, don't hit me. It's still hot. I'll let it cool down between flights. I'm not used to the hot restarts on this yet. Now with the motor new like this, I'm going to put that 3-blade aside. It seems like that's overloading the motor more than necessary right now, until we get the other gasket out and get the Venturi opened up, and of course get 3, 4, couple of gallons of fuel through the engine anyway. But this is a 2-blade. Wayne Triven made this. This is one of the real nice 2-blades that I have. I'm going to give this a couple of shots. Now to switch from the 3-blade, again, I just want to record all my information. The 3-blade with the motor with 2 gaskets on the small Venturi, it just really didn't have. It was sagging and parts of the maneuvers. With the 2-blade, and again, that's Wayne's job, but I'm going to start using Mike as the test pilot. Because we're really not trying to fly stunt patterns. We just really want to get some time on this motor. We've got about almost a half a gallon through it. But certainly this prop seems like a quantum improvement over the other one in terms of load and getting the motor to run at a friendly speed. The other thing I want to record is the way I have the tank set up now. I have to take off almost dead rich, and as soon as it goes a half a lap, it kicks right in. So we'll see if we can make some correction to that, and probably the correction is going to be setting it up on pipe pressure, or maybe even some other modification. Again, I want to talk to George about it. I want to email him and get his feedback, but I'll have all that information on the tape right now. Now again, the next thing we're going to try to correct is the tendency of the motor to, or the way we have it set up, take off super rich and then go into it's about a half a lap before it goes into its normal maneuver speed. And again, having Mike here on such a hot day, it'll mean I can probably get double the amount of flying in. After trying a lot of things as far as hot restart, a hot restart is almost always 4 chokes and flip it real quick, the way this tank is sitting in here. Now Mike is just not even a competitor at all, just a sport flyer, but it's real helpful if you can have somebody during a test like this take over some of the pilot workload. I can get a lot more done if I don't have to fly the plane. He's the guy that maintains the field for us here, Mike Kudreski. All right, just let him have some fun and get some time on his motor. Believe it or not, one of the things we've run into in the course of testing here is almost all of the props in the 12-inch range that were dialed in for my 60s, which are really high RPM 60s, all of them seem real friendly on this planer. We've been taking flight after flight with any of the variety of two blades. It seems like any of the 12-inch 60 props real close to being, at least for the conditions here. And it's about 92 degrees on my thermometer, and it is humid. It is hot. The top priority in this whole thing is going to be, as soon as I can get that header and get the pipe tucked down into the plane, and I hope I can get that within some reasonable time, or if I have to, I'll machine and make one. Always easier if you can buy it, though. Now, I'm sure aerodynamically with the pipe hanging out like this, it's not doing us any favors, but I weighed the plane before I came out here. It's exactly 64 ounces with this trim. We got a little bit of a pipe rattle, which means we're real close. Here we go at the end of the flight. How'd that feel? About the right speed? Felt nice.
Real nice.
Looked about at the right speed, too. The only thing is that rich takeoff kind of scares you. You think it's not going to... But then as soon as it moves a foot, it takes right off. I think Werwich's plane did the same thing. It kind of it comes out like that.
Towards the end, it leans out too.
Yeah, the last couple laps, but then at least you get a warning. Part of the transition for this plane is going from a 60 to this setup. The CG has moved back, so what I'm going to do, I don't want to make any radical changes to the plane yet. I want to come in one notch on each side of the cable, and what that'll allow me just to detune it. With this motor, the motor is lighter than a 60, and part of the pipe is behind the CG. So typically when you go, and the prop diameter given a lot less of a resistance than a real 60 prop, a 13-inch prop. So what happens is typically the plane starts overturning, and I've noticed that tendency, but usually a quick cure, just a quick cure like today, is just to get one notch off each side of the handle, and that'll usually do it. What I'm trying to do, John, is I want to get, this is all the stuff that comes from George as a package. And I want to see if I can add anything positive to it, you know? Now this is a nice setting right here. You can hear the pipe rattling. It's right just about where it should be. Oh yeah, oh yeah. And he's on full 70 lines. I just want him to fly it. I want to get time on a motor before I take the head shim out. But this, if I can just cure that rich coming off the ground stuff.
With a ring engine?
Nah. Listen how nice that brakes. The air is dead too. This is why it doesn't even pay to fly it in this dead air. And it may be that I have the tank set up just wrong or something too. What kind of lap time? You got a lap time? I don't have a watch with me. So what's nice here is you can email George, and in a half an hour, you got an answer to whatever question you have. Just move around, Mike. Move around. Don't try to go back in your own loops here. No, that RPM sounds just about nice. Whatever it is. As long as I can get it that I can take off. 5.3. Okay, that's about right. Oh, that's close enough.
The first 4 places were pipe jobs, right?
Yeah, they've been winning lately. Well, what do you think? You had a pipe. You like this pipe better than your pipe?
Oh, definitely sound.
Free advertisement here.
I couldn't tell what it was doing. It was just flat out all the way.
Nah, this 2.4 is nice. This, yeah, I'll tell you one thing. That is one thing it has, is a nice brake.
Something's going on with it.
Yeah, that's real nice.
I didn't know where that was set.
Yeah, yours was crazy. I remember that. It was terrible. We've gotten now to the point where it looks like we get 4 chokes on a hot start, or 5, flip it right away, and it seems to kick off. And that was one of the things. Every motor is a little bit different. I'm sure it'll come in. It's still really tight at the top. No, that's running just the way it should. Can't wait to get the header and get that pipe tucked into the plane the way it should. It'll look a lot better that way too.
That's 5 PA. That's 5 PA.
Yeah. No, that's not PA. That's my blend.
What do you?
It's 22% oil, 11 caster.
22%.
22%, not 24.
5 PA is 24.
5 PA is 24. That's the mix I came up with years ago for the pipe engines, and it seems to still work well. George, I think, recommended exactly the same thing. But Taft took that formula from me years ago. So you like the way this runs so far, Don, or what? You want to take a flight? The takeoff's a little bit of a nuisance because I can't run it slow enough on the ground with the way it's set up, but hey, the day's not over. You can't even hear this running with the other guy flying. Now remember too, with solids, do the same amount of insides and outsides. Don't just do 10 loops, you know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, do the same amount inside as outside and everything will be fine.
You got solid lines.
Yeah. The air is still dead here. You got to move around. Well, you do that all the time anyway.
I don't move that much. I get caught by the air a lot. I had a couple of this year already.
Well. After a whole bunch of fooling with props, we've kind of settled in on Wayne Shriven's prop, and I'll try to send him a copy of this video, get some feedback from him. He seems to be one of the people that's really knowledgeable about and helpful. That's a good combination. I even thought maybe before the day's over, if we get bored, we'll try some of the 5. I have one of the 5 blades that I made up for a pipe engine years ago, and it's got real low pitch. If this was one of my handmade 5 blades, may even give that a try. That worked real good on a 51 Tiger, by the way. sends you with the motor when you buy a motor. It's a whole package just like that, all in one thing. You know, you don't have to go buying pieces and bits and pieces. It's a whole thing.
The whole thing is here.
Is so impressed, and he has had little tune pipe engines, but boy, he's kind of wishing he had one of these right now. I don't know what he's going to do, but he's just going to take a test flight. Now see, the advantage of this is the more people you can get to give you feedback what they like and don't like, the better off you always are. And you don't have to be expert level flyer to give somebody feedback. These are people that don't even enter contests. It's very appropriate. And if the motor is easy to, the only thing we've had trouble with is this thing of being rich when it takes off. Other than that, this thing has been a jewel. And I'm sure that's part of the tank or the way I have it plumbed. We're certainly going to find out. And this is the kind of information that we want to try to get so that the next, let's say for instance Don buys one of these motor setups, we can just pass this video right on to him and anything we learn, and it makes everybody, he can then pass it on to the next person, and everybody down the road is the winner here. You can see how small I have the handle line spacing here with the CG back. And the idea of all of this is to be able to just put it in a plane and go flying. And not have to tinker and fool for hundreds of flights. Now even if we couldn't get that pipe tucked into the body, and if we couldn't get the header, the high right, and if all of these things were ifs, this would still be very acceptable for 90% of the people just the way it is right here. It's 2.4 and nice, it's dead quiet, and so far it's been the only kink is my plumbing into the tank that makes it a little bit difficult to get it rich enough on the ground before release. But we're going to be working on that, and of course that's the reason for doing this in the first place. And the reason is to give as many people a little bit of a test ride, and the people that think this is appropriate for their modeling adventure, hey, come on board. Again, you didn't like the way it flew at all.
Oh, are you kidding me?
Did that 2.4 nice or what?
See,
I mean, outside the... See, that's heavy-duty bell crank and controls, though.
I got the same kind of movement you got, too.
They're very... You have... Whose bell crank is in your plane?
It feels like it's on ball bearings.
Well, it's good quality controls. Did you like the way the motor was 2.4?
Oh, beautiful.
I mean, that is nice. Even I have
Just
to...
what the plane was doing all the time.
Yep.
You could tell what it was doing.
It's very predictable.
I forgot to find the Godborn engine run, though.
You don't have to. You get a pattern. Who cares? We're not competing.
You get a pattern, and you get about, what, maybe 10 laps after.
Yeah, maybe. I just didn't want to see you get caught. Picks up right away, yeah. You know what I did on the last one, I just went in just a tad on the needle, and it seemed to hold it. Do you got a lap time on this yet? Yeah, give me a lap time. Next thing we'll do a lap. It's close. It's 2.4, and that's all that matters.
You got the lap time, right?
It's in the motor range. We're wearing Mike out like a good set of sneakers here. Anyway, we really are. Now, we've had a couple of runs. We got it to go 5.0, 5.1, and we've got it down to 5.5, and anywhere in between just seems like a needle set with this combination with Wayne's prop and a pipe at 16 3/4. We're so close here, it's ridiculous. we're going to demonstrate the amazing one-flip start. After 400 flights, we figured out how to do it. Come on, glow plug. Boy, I tell you, you wear out the batteries doing this. Amazing, one-flip start. Oh, boy, the cat, we got to go erase that tape. Oh, we missed it. Oh, George, I'm so sorry. Started about 4 times in a row like that. Oh, look at it, I got it loaded. Shows you what I know. Yeah, we really haven't perfected the one-flip start here yet, but we will. It seems like it's 4 or 5 chokes cold. Hot, it's flip it backwards and hope. Tom McGregor was favorably impressed to the point where he bought a soda. And that's an amazing feat. That's like getting Larry Scarinzi to buy you a hamburger. Larry's supposed to have his jet. He's got a combat jet. And we haven't seen him at the field with it yet, but I know it's in transit, so we'll have a hot jet and a slow jet. Anyway, we are roasting out here, boy. I'm telling you. Tough work. Are you learning how to fly though, Mike? Tell me the truth. You learning anything today?
I'm trying.
A couple of those squares look real nice.
Yeah, right. This is the first time I tried them. I figured I'd try it on this plane here if I crack it up.
Yeah, try it on one of Windy's planes. Why learn on your own plane, which happens to be a Windy plane too? No, I think we got something here. It's looking good. Boy, before we end the tape, I want to make special thanks to Wayne Shriven for helping me over the years with composite work, including props. And this is one of Wayne's prop. This one just is a perfect match for this motor. I mean, this prop is so perfectly matched, I'm sick. Wayne will probably break the mold when he sees this video. I wonder if I'm going to try another plug in there just as a test. I don't know, I'm not crazy. This is a Thunderbolt plug. Maybe a little hotter plug would do it. Last couple of flights, it's been 5 chokes and flip it. This is the plug that came out. I can't really tell if this was causing a problem. But I have a SIG plug, and that's a hot plug that worked good in the double stars. And at Tigers, we're going to try to see if there's any difference, maybe even in starting with the SIG volt and a half. After a long day of testing, the amazing one-flip start procedure. Everybody standing around here. Now I know this works for other people. We got the SIG plug in there. Demonstrate. Yeah, again, I don't believe. I'm gonna sue George Aldrich. Oh God, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and. And you thought I was stupid, huh? Doesn't sound good either. But as soon as it takes off, it kicks right in. Well, we'll be working on that still. I thought it would be better. I was going to try a Fox Miracle plug before the day's out too. we're at the end of this tape, and it has been, we're not going to go home yet. A couple of things we have learned. The SIG plug gave us a fine run. It was no problem at all. Needle didn't change or anything, but we still have that tendency to go off the ground rich. And again, the answer is will be a call to George, get his personal recommendation, see if we can cure that. We're running on total suction, and we haven't even put the other pipe that we have on the plane. So we're still basically at, except for Wayne's prop, at the setup that came in the mail in one box from George, and that was what I was hoping was going to happen, is that would be a real nice user-friendly setup, and that people like Don, or people this weekend coming up at Coxsackie that'll get to fly this plane, can benefit from it. Now, the one flip start. Do I hear you, Maestro?
Let's go. Let's do it.
Guaranteed. We're talking guaranteed one flip start here. I've said it before. One flip start. Here it goes. Watch it go. You're gonna die. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hot start.